Hello everybody, welcome back to another Commander Showcase. Today is the 4th of July, at least when it's coming out. It's currently the 3rd still, so today we want to celebrate America, right? And Magic has plenty of American cards. So, or at least American themed commanders and stuff, especially in Jeskai colors, are good red, white, and blue. And today is no different as we do things the American way with Zedruu the Great-Hearted. So Zedruu is an interesting commander. He can kind of work group hug, and he can also work as a really good control player. So Zedruu is a 2/4 with at the abilities of at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of permanents you own that your opponents control. And for Jeskai, you can make a target opponent gain control of a target permanent you control. So this, I was kind of looking up like good American commanders, and other than like Liberty Prime and Guile, people were pointing out Zedruu as like a good like, oh, this is America type thing, of being like, oh yeah, we're gonna force ourselves upon you to make things better. And I thought that was a good joke to kind of put on this, because as you can see, we already have some foreign policies here that not many people are gonna like. We also have importing and exporting, taxation, the United States Army, and the United States Mint. The Mint's just our mana. The United States Army is going to be making a lot of creature tokens, as well as just some few attackers and stuff. I actually don't know why Swords to Plowshares is in this. That goes into foreign policies. But, let's just get in with talking about the main draw of the deck, the importing and exporting of goods, aka creatures and artifacts and stuff. So these are pretty much all just give exchange control of either target artifact, target enchantment, or target creature. So that way I'm getting something out of it. And I'm not just, giving away things. I'm at least able to get some impact on it as well. We do have Stiltskin, who pretty much is a mono white version of Zedruu, where for 2 mana, you can tap it and make target opponent gain control of another target permanent I control and draw a card. But then we also have stuff like Vidalcan Plotter, which is for lands. And this is pretty much just to stop people from getting like win cons off of something like Maze's End, to be able to like take their gates and stuff. But it also works for just taking value pieces. Like if someone has like a Gaia's Cradle or something like that, you could easily just steal it, make sure that it's not a threat, because chances are you're not going to have any creatures on the field anyway. Harmless Offering is a sorcery that is essentially Zedruu, where you give something to an opponent. Bizarre Trader is the same way as Stiltskin, but without the draw, which is kind of weird because it's more expensive. But then we also have Brand, which will import all of our goods right back to our land and hopefully win us the game. This is kind of like our win con right here. Our main win con is to take everyone's stuff and then in the end just take all my things back and then just hopefully finish the game off. We also have stuff like Puka's Mischief, which is at the beginning of your upkeep, you exchange control of target non-land permanent that you control and one that an opponent controls with equal or lesser converted mana cost. It is a similar thing with Dominus of Fealty, where you just gain control of a permanent that an opponent controls into the end of turn. And since it's not a non-land permanent, you always could take a land for the turn, especially if it's like a sack land, like something you could sacrifice. An Evolving Wilds, not Evolving Wilds, Myriad Landscape, something like that. You could sack it and then take the lands for yourself. And then we also have the Djinn of Infinite Deceits, which exchanges control of 2 non-legendary creatures. This is going to be really good to steal people's mana rocks. It's going to be good to steal other people's like weaker value pieces and stuff. especially if they're trying to build up a couple other creatures with auras and stuff. And as long as it's not the commander, like, you should be fine. Reigns of Power is essentially I exchange creatures with another player and allows me to pretty much take, like, if I want to really cripple somebody, I could easily just drop this and then gain control of everything of theirs. But it's pretty much all the same. Like, exchange these two permanents and stuff. Conjured currency actually is another one I want to talk about. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you may exchange control of conjured currency in a permanent that you neither own or control. Meaning, I can't, like, say I take the player to my left's soul ring and exchanges it with conjured currency. They can't take their soul ring back. They have to take something else. They can't take something that I have, that I've taken from them. And it's really interesting, and honestly I thought it was going to be a lot of fun and cause a lot of chaos on the board, because then nobody can really protect themselves. Like, you're guaranteed to be losing stuff and guaranteed to be gaining stuff as well. It allows me to play a bit more of a political game, as being like, oh, well, here, let me help you. Here, you start passing off the garbage I've given you. It allows my taxes and stuff to kind of get moved around. Speaking of taxes, though, let's go on to taxation. So this is essentially just all of our Pillow Fort stuff: Ghostly Prison, Archangel of Tithes, Baird, Archon of Absolution, Windborn Muse, Propaganda, Norn Annex, and Sphere of Safety. All do the same thing. When someone attacks me, they can't attack me unless they pay X amount of mana, which is however much I have on the board. Search Supremacist is also another one. Since I can give away any permanent with Zedruu, I figured that if anyone does attack me, I'll at least have I will have clue tokens I can pass around if I need to. And, like, I'm not restricted to passing off things that I need or that I want, or just things that are generally useful to me. Going into our foreign policies, because the army is a really easy one to describe. So this is all pretty much our control pieces, stuff that pretty much prevent people from casting things, removal, and, like, other impact pieces. And I actually don't know why that's in here. That should be in taxation. So, moderation is you can't cast more than one spell each turn, and whenever you cast a spell, you draw a card. Unfortunately, when you draw, I don't want people to be drawing cards, but I mean, it's guaranteeing that they can't cast more than one thing every turn, which is going to be really helpful for me. Experimental Frenzy is you can't play cards from your hand. You can only play it from the top of your library. This is going to be good for when I give it to an opponent who doesn't have red mana. That's going to be my goal, and that's why I like the cards that exchanges lands. Because if someone's down mana and they need their red mana and they only have, like, one or two lands, I can easily take them, which prevents them from being able to blow up Experimental Frenzy. Marina Ventral's Grimoire, maybe. I think that's how you pronounce it. When you cast it, when I cast it, I draw 5 cards. I have no more maximum hand size and don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. When I gain life, I draw that many cards, and when I lose life, I discard that many cards. Then, if I have no cards in my hand, I lose the game. Pretty much what I want to do: get Marina Ventral's Grimoire, take my 5 cards, either wait until someone has no cards in hand, or if someone just immediately has no cards in hand, drop that on them, and they immediately lose the game. Gold Knight Castigator is, if a source would deal damage to you, it deals double that damage to you instead, and if source would deal damage to Gold Knight Castigator, it deals double that damage instead. It's essentially just a way to make people take more damage. I mean, like, sure, Gold Knight Castigator will probably die pretty quickly, since even like a 5 like a 5 attack creature would just destroy it. It's still going to be good for, like, if I can make it tapped, or if someone swings it and it gets through, it's easy damage onto them. Emberwild Caliph. So it attacks each turn of Fable, and whenever Emberwild Caliph successfully deals damage, you lose that much life. So say all 4 of that damage goes through, you lose 4 life. Pretty simple. 9 lives is one of my favorite cards in this deck, and I think it might be the strongest card for Zedruu. So 9 lives has hexproof, and if a source would deal damage to you, you prevent that damage and put an incarnation counter on 9 lives. When there's 9 or more incarnation counters on it, you exile it. And once 9 lives leaves the battlefield, I lose the game. So the goal of it is to get 8 incarnation counters on it, pass it to an opponent, and kill them. Or I think that you can do this, I'm not entirely sure, since Zedruu's ability is instant speed, to wait until you have 9 counters on it, and before the exile trigger happens, pass it over. And so then you instantaneously make someone lose the game. It's a great idea in my part. I mean, most people probably run 9 lives in Zedruu no matter what, but I thought that this was like one of my favorite pieces. And I think it's perfect for this deck. Next up, we have Aggressive Mining, which prevents me from playing lands, but it'll actually end up being you. And you can also sacrifice a land to draw 2 cards. Delusions of Mediocrity and Transcendence are actually not Transcendence. You know, I don't have the other card in here. Delusions of Mediocrity pretty much just gives me 10 life and makes you lose 10 life when that card gets killed. There is a creature that does a similar thing, but it's, I think, 20 life, which is absurd. But again, I wanted to keep this budget. It's already really expensive at almost $70. I figured that if I were to keep adding more expensive things, because I also wanted to add Grand Arbiter to the deck, but I figured I would keep Game Changers out of it as much as I could. I actually don't think there are any Game Changers in here. Yeah, no, there's not. So I wanted to just make sure that it wasn't like too like expensive, and to me $70 is pushing it. But I mean, at this point, it's kind of the comedy of it. Next up, we have Jinx Choker. At the end of your turn, target opponent gains control of Jinx Choker and puts a charge counter on it. And at the beginning of the upkeep, Jinx Choker deals damage to you equal to the number of charge counters on it. I can always prevent myself from taking this damage because I can easily keep 3 mana up at all times, if possible, to then pass it right along before my upkeep. Plus, I can, instead of taking, since the untap step comes before upkeep, I can easily untap, tap my 3 mana, pass it right along, so I don't need to worry about it. So I will pretty much always be safe from this, but it's a good way to pile on damage for my opponents. Next up, we have Rust Elemental, which makes the person that has Rust Elemental sacrifice an artifact other than Rust Elemental. And once they're out of artifacts, Rust Elemental gets tapped and they start losing 4 life instead. This is going to be a good way to stop people from having like Soul Ring, any color mana from stuff like Decanter, Endless Water, Chromatic Lantern, stuff like that. Steel Golem stops me from casting creature or artifact spells, and it's going to someone else. I mean, like, I'll cast it and then I'll immediately give it away. We also have Path to Exile and Swords of Plowshares. This is like for like quote unquote to the whole strategy of the foreign policy section, but it's pretty much just some targeted removal. Anything gets out of hand, America's just gonna drop a nuke on it. Nukes are the foreign policies now. Transcendence is you don't lose a life for having 0 or less life, and when you have 20 or more life, you lose the game. Whenever you lose life, you gain 2 life for each 1 life you lost. This is going to be an endgame piece. I can cast this when I'm really low on health, and then pass it along. If my opponent has more than 20 life, they instantaneously lose the game. But even if not, if I can get any damage in, I'm forcing healing on them. And hopefully I can close out games with that. Statecraft prevents all combat damage that would be dealt to and dealt by creatures that I control. Meaning, you can't swing. I mean, you can, you're just not going to deal damage. And then lastly, we have Grid Monitor, which is essentially the same thing as Steel Golem, but a little worse. You can't cast creature spells. It doesn't have the artifact nut thing, which kind of sucks, but creatures are the more important part. Lastly, let's go into the United States Army. This is pretty much just going to be creatures that are either like, oh, when you cast this, like, create X 1/1s, you know. We have Martial Coup, Secure the Waste, White Sun Zenith, White Sun's Twilight, Tempted Vengeance, and Song of Totentans, which are all create X 1/1 creatures, or in the case of White Sun Zenith, create X 2/2s. And then Martial Coup and White Sun's Twilight can work as board wipes as well. We also have Tempted Vengeance, which is creating X 1/1 red elementals with haste, and then each opponent can create that many as well, and I'll create that many as well. So say X equals 10, I make 10, an opponent decides to make that 10, I make 20, like 20 in total. So it can get me way out of hand really quickly. But other than that, we have like Monastery Mentor, Third Path Iconoclast, and Kaikar Wind's Fury, which are whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you create a 1/1. Monastery Mentor creates monks with prowess. Iconoclast creates colorless soldiers, and Kaikar creates spirits. Then lastly, we have Adeline. So Adeline is going to be having a power equal to the number of creatures I control. And whenever I attack for each opponent, I'll create a 1/1 white human creature token that's attacking them or a planeswalker they control. This pretty much allows me to get a big attacker on the battlefield, as well as like Chasm Skulker, since I will be drawing a lot of cards. Chasm Skulker will allow me to have a big creature, and then when it dies, I go from tall to wide. And Adeline just kind of helps with that. And these two synergize really well. So that actually is all for this deck. I mean, like, I could go through like things. We have like all of, like the talismans and stuff. We have the damaging lands and stuff like that. Here's our mana curve. It's not that great. I mean, like, having 5 cards that are or 10 cards that are 5 mana or more kind of sucks. But like, they're all like really important pieces and stuff that allow us to get things going. But I want to see what your guys' thoughts are on the America deck. That is all for me. Look forward to seeing you guys next week for another Commander Showcase, where we might, I think the next one that we're going to be doing is going to be Group Hug in an unexpected color combination. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. I hope you all have a wonderful day.